Hey Kirby, you do know that you're at a casino, right? Have some fun and gamble a bit.
I can't find my debit card to withdraw any money. Must have left it in the car or something, I don't know.
Kirby, you won't believe what I just won at the slot machine.
It's material, right?
God damn it, is the CC really that predictable?
Well, what did you find?
Well, I found a Spider-Man fanboy ranting about some cartoon reviewer guy named Nintendo who didn't like the new Spider-Man cartoon. Oh, and also don't look at your bank account since it might be emptier than usual.
Wait, isn't that the same video I hit a long time ago?
Yes, but we'll do it better, so fuck off.
Good luck with that, Beyblade man. I'm gonna hit the slots.
Spectacular, 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 spectacular.
Well, I regret life. Okay, let me pick apart the two major issues I find with this thing. First off, there's the length. Like, I get you're an OG Spider-Man fan, but this drags on for almost 40 seconds, which could have easily been shortened by half the length. I also have issues with the second half of said song, where you decide to go baritone, resulting in the music overpowering your voice like you're living with a mariachi band. Wait, actually that sounds pretty cool. Can we have that instead of this shit show?
What's up, everybody? It's your friendly neighborhood Scarlet Spider here, welcoming you to this exciting edition of Spidey Response, the show where I prove to you that Spider-Man is awesome. Now, you're probably wondering, Scarlet Spider, where's Spider-Man? Well, he had to go on vacation, so I'm pretty much filling in for his role, temporarily. But don't worry, you'll see me again soon. Anyways, without further ado, let's take on the carnivorous carnage!
Hey Kirby, what do you have there?
Just making a scavenger hunt.
By any chance is literally any context given by Marcus about what the video is about on that list?
Scavenger hunts aren't supposed to be impossible, Key.
Besides, everybody knows that giving context is needless padding.
I'm kind of a casual Spider-Man fan. I haven't read any of the comics.
Just remember this for later. You're probably gonna need it.
Spoilers, this point isn't going to debunk anything.
But I know all the basics about the characters and storyline.
There's more to that than meets the eye, okay?
Except Nintendo never implied that wasn't the case. He was simply talking about how much he knew about the franchise.
Yeah, let's all just assume what he said and just shove words into his mouth without consent.
I'm going to die!
Even though I'm a fan of the character and I'm a big fan of cartoons, if you couldn't already tell, I haven't really seen any of the Spider-Man cartoons outside of episodes of the 90s animated series ages ago. But apparently Disney had my back because they just launched a new Spider-Man animated series, only 7 months after the previous one ended, simply titled Spider-Man, or Marvel Spider-Man if you don't feel like calling it Spider-Man 2017. I'm really starting to hate this common trend of reboots that share the same name as the originals, since now you have to differentiate each property using the year that it came out in. Come to think of it, that's actually the only problem I have with the DuckTales reboot so far.
They're doing that because they want to go back to their old roots. Don't you get it? God, you're so stupid.
Okay, great. Now, how's that make the lazy title not a problem? Since just because a show is going back to its original roots doesn't mean it's an excuse to come up with a lazy title, because fun fact, you can go back to your old roots while changing the title. Like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, for instance, as that anime is a retelling of the manga storyline, yet didn't use the exact same name of the original manga and anime. Or heck, what about What's New Scooby-Doo, which is just the old formula of the mystery gang going from place to place solving mysteries.
But let's pretend that a show going back to its roots means that it automatically has to have the same name. You do know that doesn't mean he has to like it, right? Just because there's a reason behind the name choice, it doesn't mean the issue magically goes away, nor does it mean he can't have a problem with it.
At first, I wondered why the creators decided to give their show such a boring and uncreative name, but after watching this show, that name has begun to make a lot of sense. The first question that I have with any new take on a beloved property is, what's the twist? In other words, what does this incarnation of Spider-Man do differently compared to the others? The answer is, hardly much at all.
You're a fucking idiot.
Great interjection, 10 out of 10. I wonder what spider venom tastes like.
We have the typical Spidey origin story, where Peter Parker is an average kid that no one understands until he gets bitten by a radioactive spider and his life gets flipped upside down. Check it out, I flipped the image on screen upside down to correspond with when I said upside down. I'm like the best editor in the world.
First off, that is Spider-Man's exact origin, okay? That's the exact same origin that we've heard over 1,000 times.
Yes, it is. That's why he said it was the typical origin story.
And for me, I never get tired of hearing that. No matter how you change it up, I'll always love it.
Okay, that's nice, but just because you like hearing Spider-Man's origin story over and over doesn't mean it can't be an issue for Nintendo to point out, since seeing the same origin over and over with nothing to twist it around can get really tiring for people like Nintendo.
Also, acting as if your personal feelings about a work somehow makes the target's point invalid. Hi, Blaze the movie fan, how are you doing? When's the next entry in the Mario Pissing series coming out anyway?
Guest starring Micro Mavi!
Do you even know what happened the last time Spider-Man tried to do something different? Crap. Crap reviews. Everything was just went out the garbage can. It just went into the garbage can. That's what happened. It was bad, okay?
Examples? Like, what are you even talking about here? Since you're incredibly vague with your argument at this point, which is a problem since your viewers will have no idea of what you're saying is even correct in the first place.
Well, based off a later moment in your video, it looks like you're referring to the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Probably the second one since the first one didn't get crap reviews. But based off the common criticisms with that movie, I can argue that it didn't fail because it tried out new ideas, but failed because the film tried out too many ideas at once, and in the end created a clusterfuck of a film with a jumbled plot. And this is from a guy who liked Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Wow, Kirby, I didn't know you have shit-tasted films.
And secondly, I'm the best editor in the world! Look what I can do!
Spider-Man! Out of f***ing nowhere!
Making a montage that pays tribute to the 2012 Countdown community doesn't make you a good editor by any stretch of the word.
I'm going to die!
The origin is almost exactly like how it was in the 2002 movie.
Are you fucking kidding me? It's not! Oh my god, how stupid are you? Okay, the only thing that they took inspiration from the Raimi movie was the genetically enhanced spider, the homemade costume, and the fight with Bonesaw McGee. That's it! The only cartoon that took inspiration from Sam Raimi fully was Spectacular Spider-Man, okay?
You know, just because one Spider-Man cartoon took inspiration from the Sam Raimi films doesn't give the new Spider-Man cartoon a pass, as it's taken similar beats from those films, which you even admit was the case.
Ignoring the previous point about it being the origin in the comics doesn't mean he can't find it overdone. You do realize that it's possible to tell the same origin in a different way, right? And how Nintendo could have been stating how the way the show tells the origin is too similar to the way the movie did. Especially when in this case, he was making a claim about unoriginality in comparison to the film, something that Nintendo did see.
Oh my god, are you mentally retarded?
I haven't read any of the comics.
Oh yeah, that's right. You are stupid.
Fun fact, just because the person hasn't read the source material, that doesn't magically mean that the person can't bring up issues about a show based off it.
I'm going to die!
Though the movie handles the murder of Uncle Ben a million times better than this series does.
Jesus fucking Christ, what are you? Batman?
I'm guessing that you're accusing him of wanting everything to be dark and gloomy, which in that case, no, not really. You can prefer the way a character dies in one work compared to another while not wanting everything to be grim and melodramatic.
As his introduction and death are within 5 minutes of each other, and the tone suddenly switches from fairly lighthearted to super dramatic in a heartbeat. Seeing Peter struggle with his superpowers and figure out the best ways to use them is a huge part of his story and character, but within 2 episodes he's got everything figured out.
No, he's not. He's still trying to learn how to be a superhero. God fucking damn it.
What Nintendo was saying is that Peter's management of how to use his powers, which isn't inherently the same as having no struggles with learning how to be a superhero by the way, was a big part of his character, and the reboot pretty much solved that issue within 2 episodes, thus garnered possible character development. Nintendo set this point blank, and yet it managed to somehow fly over your head.
Along with that, gonna do anything to back up that claim, Marcus? Any clips to show proof of that, or at the very least, any examples of moments where he was still struggling with being a hero? No? You're just gonna say that's the case and leave it at that? Well, guess I can just say, no he's not, he hasn't had any struggles with being a superhero, to counter your point and leave it at that, right?
Can we just say his video is objectively bad, then go home?
He doesn't always win every battle, and his superhero life is slowly taking over his teenage life.
Hold it.
Doll, why are you still here?
Remember when Marcus tried to counter Nick's point about Peter being used to his powers by saying how Peter is still struggling to be a superhero?
Oh.
And you said you could cover this better than me.
Hey, nobody asked for your opinion, Ness.
Good job, Marcus. Due to your inability to wait a couple of seconds before things get cleared up for you, you failed to notice how Nintendo acknowledged that Peter still struggled with being a superhero, just in ways other than his powers, making that previous interjection of yours even more pointless.
So now can we go home?
I probably only have half of the money in my account because of you. I'm getting my money's worth.
But he doesn't have to deal with any moral dilemmas or have his powers hurt his life in a significant way. The show focuses more on Peter's day-to-day adventures at school and fighting the occasional bad guy. This is what draws most viewers into the Spider-Man series, but cutting out most of Peter's serious struggles gets rid of a lot of the character's depth.
Yeah, everything has to be gritty and serious and super edgy. That's how I like our superheroes. Oh, fuck you. Go die in a hole or something.
That wasn't his point, you dumbass!
Punctuated. For emphasis.
His point wasn't that he wanted everything to be dark and serious, but instead that due to the reboot removing one of the elements that made Peter a three-dimensional character by having one of his most compelling character traits removed hurt the amount of depth, thus making him much less interesting of a character in Nintendo's eyes.
I'm going to die.
Another one of my favorite elements in the Spider-Man series is Peter trying to keep his identity a secret. That's a source of drama I've always been invested in, sometimes a little too invested in. Like in some of the movies, there's scenes where Peter's unmasked while standing on top of a building, and someone could easily see him if they just turned around or looked up. In my head, I'm always yelling, "What are you doing? Pull your mask on!" But in the show, the secret identity thing isn't taken seriously at all. Peter takes seconds to change in and out of his costume, and nearly no one questions how similar he looks in times to Peter, or how he's able to be invested in the problems at Horizon High despite not being a student there. Usually, Peter changing to Spider-Man is just a joke here, which completely squanders what could be a great source of drama. Because of its lack of depth in all areas, this Spider-Man is really boring to me, and most of the time, everything he says just comes off as annoying too.
Alright, I'm gonna have to, be pretty serious here for a second. Peter is a spider! He can do whatever a spider can!
Yep. That totally debunks Nick's point. It's completely relevant to his point about no drama about hiding his identity or him being a shallow character. This is how we counter criticisms of characters, people. Give a bit of background about them and move on. Brilliant!
Wait, but Peter can't spit venom or lay eggs, so technically he can't do everything a spider can. Also, fuck you for the audio spikes, since that crap scared the shit out of me in the first few viewings of the video.
I'm going to die.
Which, once again, is disappointing considering how interesting the origin of this character has been before. Also, whenever Peter's Spider-Man, he never shuts up.
So what? You don't shut up!
Mere. That is all.
I know that Spider-Man is known for his one-liners during fights, but 95% of what he says isn't even funny. What?
That's because your sense of humor is on the level of Batman.
You know, these are coming off less as just funny quips and more you getting salty over him having a different opinion than you.
Wait, you just noticed this now?
Just about every single one of these characters can be summed up in 2 words, like Harry is the best friend, Gwen Stacy is the snarky girl, Aunt May is the caring elder, Norman Osborn is the evil dad, Spencer Smythe is also the evil dad, but they really mix things up with Raymond Warren, who's an evil uncle. Didn't see that one coming, did ya?
Then there's Doodletones, the evil mom.
Calling Doodle mom? Pfft, nice sign of bias, doll.
Most of these characters are only really here because they're recognizable Spider-Man characters, and almost all of them don't have any unique character traits or even unique designs.
Says the person that doesn't read the comics.
You do know that a series other than Spider-Man can have similarities to those traits or design, right? A reason for why it comes off as generic to him?
A lot of the adults in particular don't have any diverse features.
Probably because you're not an artist, you fuckhead.
Does he need to be an artist? Since basic human design is something that most people probably know, since they could be born with distinct features like a circular face or square chin. Besides, he's a bloody reviewer, just like how you don't need to be a chef to critique food, you don't need to be an artist to critique design.
I'm going to die.
But I guess the team behind this show just doesn't want to try anything new.
Yeah, because this shit happened.
Yup, because doing a new idea poorly in the past, which as stated before, was due more to jumbling a bunch of plot lines together rather than simply doing something new period, totally means that trying out any new ideas is a bad idea from the get-go.
This series might not even be able to pay off all the characters it sets up, especially if you consider something about the show that I'll mention later in this review. And I really don't want to have the series end, and Otto Octavius is still a short, wormy teacher instead of one of the coolest villains in the franchise like he really should be. Speaking of villains, most of them are pretty pathetic. They all get a few minutes of screen time each, and their origin stories are either never explained, or explained very briefly.
It's about Spider-Man, not supervillains, you fuck.
Psst, here's a secret that'll blow your mind, Marcus. Countless series develop characters outside of just the main protagonist. Having characters that are important to episodes be flat and uninteresting is typically a sign of bad writing.
A lot of Spider-Man's villains have a somewhat relatable backstory, or some kind of connection to Peter, so having most of them show up without any formal introduction not only alienates new viewers, but also makes the characters weaker in general.
It's like the olden days, back in the old days when, you had your villains as the devil himself, and, you just don't need to explain all that because it's super short and all that. It's like those old cartoons, you know? Oh, don't you remember those old cartoons? Oh, man, those were good times,
I see you're a man from the older days when people used to use Windows XP and we had 2 twin towers. Well, let me say that some old tropes can quickly become outdated over time with advancements in writing, such as getting complicated themes in children's shows.
Where'd you get the beard from?
I'm going to die.
Spider-Man has one of, if not the best rogues gallery in comics, so to see many of the villains either be boring or leave such a little impression on me is very disappointing. But I've saved the best for last.
Aww, there's no sound of a neck crack.
Let's go.
Man, we must be in for something huge.
Let's talk about the animation.
And with that, I think that this will be the end of Spidey Response.
Wait, that's it? All that build-up for a media clip where you argue literally nothing? I figured you were going to continue being one of the most obnoxious people I've had the displeasure of commentating on, while continuing to make points that mean jack shit in the long run due to your inability to sit and listen to what your target is saying.
Yeah, for all that build-up, that was anticlimactic. Like Marcus, you got no sunlight to go into, you aren't going to discredit everything he says because he's not an artist, not going to get on top of your soapbox and belittle the guy because he dislikes something that you like, not going to go on one last crusade as a white knight against the evil Nintendo, not going to keep the video playing to obnoxious degrees to the point where literally watching Donut's rage mode is a more pleasing time, not going to put in a random Mia clip and play it out for too long, not going to compare him to Logan Paul for the sake of having a different opinion. Because honestly, this is kind of a letdown in comparison.
Anyway, we're done here. Might as well gamble now. Hey Key, how much money is left on my card anyway after you stole it?
Oh, you know the usual, a penny.
Hey Key, turn around. I want to give a gift to you.
I'm just hoping this ain't any Love Life shit.
We raise 1 corpse.